I was going to say assalamu alaikum. I'm so sorry. I'm not. It's a greeting, but I also listened to something very interesting on what's it called? On TikTok. I just listened to something very interesting on TikTok. I'm not sure whether the speaker will capture my sound because it's a fan. It is hot. Like, it's hot. But you see the way my skin is glowing? I've not been hydrating. Tuseme tu ukweli, I have not been hydrating very well because this job requires me to work with my hands. So when I get into hyperfocus, because of the ADHD, I don't stop until I'm done. So 3-4 hours of not drinking water, then coming home exhausted, barely able to walk, back pain. Yeah, I've asked someone to fill in for me because he's a man, he has upper arm strength, he lifts 15 kilos. Things I complain about being heavy are light to him. Let him get paid. This is the other thing, because I've been talking about lessons I'm learning in my late 30s, I can officially say. At 36, you're not doing back-breaking work just cause. Well, I hope you're not. Because as a woman, hatuna mgongo. Women have no backs because I started cooking ugali at the age of 11 and I was raised in Upper Hill. And I remember the first time someone was like, wewe ni mtoto wa Bombay. I'm like, please. Well, the only Bombay I'm from is in Nairobi West, near where my mother lives. But no, I'm not this. People have so many assumptions and biases, which is why I tell people, educate yourself. Like, the education you get from school is not enough, please. Read a book. This is me insulting someone because people choose to hear insults where they are insecure. I tell people, read a book. You see, I have worked in Kibra and I've worked in Korogosho, and I've met people who've challenged my thinking. So it's not about, oh, nimetoka, pick a random place, Kayole, or not so random. And no, you speak English, you went to school, you've lived abroad for, I don't know, 5-6 years, 7. Read a book by someone other than a white person, because, oh, girls, let me tell you something. I haven't even decided what this is about, but it's a rant. But it's a rant after I've had time to cry and process and make peace, because I'm in a stage in my life where I'm very accepting of things. Why? This is how this post was supposed to start. Trevor Noah said black women can't afford to F around and find out. What does that mean? There are certain risks we can't afford to take. I'm made to think of Sharon Otieno, who was murdered by, allegedly, by Obado, who is sitting in government, pretty, doing nothing, because she was a 20-something, early 20s year old, whose decisions, she chose the lover she picked. And then, unfortunately, either she wasn't cognizant of the fact that, and I don't victim blame, I take that back, he murdered her, allegedly, and she's not alive today because of that power dynamic and because Kenya na wenyewe. Then I think of Mercy Keino. And how, again, killed like an animal, literally, like the way you hunt for sport, which is a thing white people do, by the way. We don't hunt for fun, we hunt for sustenance. And while I'm also emphasizing that, I need everyone who thinks that whiteness is aspirational. That noise annoys me for some reason. Give me a sec, it's my fan. So everyone who thinks to be white is aspirational, that is, to date a white man is aspirational. No, if you date a white man for love, that's different. But if you're dating because you feel like you're better than the rest of us, or if you find oh, and by the way, I totally understand dating white people, because my god, black men wamenifika hapa. I've had it with literally men from East Africa, from West Africa, from South Africa, from North Africa, and from Central Africa. I've been pissed off by men from each of those parts, whether it's Congo, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa itself. Did I say Nigeria? I need to say Nigeria like 4 times. And you know, like, I'm waiting for the people who be like, oh gosh, Yoruba demons. I'm like, no. The person I'm confiding in right now is a man who is awake to his consciousness, and he's Yoruba. My beef has mostly been with Igbo men because, oh God, the entitlement to women's bodies, the entitlement to our time, the entitlement to give me because I want, the wo ye. And that felt familiar because based off of what I've read, the Igbo are the oppressed of Nigeria. They're the ones who, they're smart, but the ruling tribes or the ruling powers have been predominantly Yoruba. Correct me if I am wrong, by the way. It reminds me of the Luo Kikuyu dynamic. Now, I am an Ogugu, not Ogutu, Ogugu. So many people assume I'm Luo. In fact, when I go buy wares on the streets, I'll hear people call me Nyathiwa. And because I was a Luo wife and I loved it, even my B&B was supposed to be called Lelo Guest House because I am Lelo. I am loud and proud. I am trouble. If you trouble me, I will trouble you right back. This said on a holy Sabbath, the sun has not set yet, and I think truths need to be told because I don't have a meek and quiet spirit. I said this to one of the oldest elders I know from our church back home, where they can throw a sleeper. Well, not him, his wife, who taught me in Sabbath school. She taught me Bible verses. And I told Mary Wangai, Dr. Mary Wangai, I don't have a meek and quiet spirit. She looks at me and she says, neither did Ellen White. Sis? I was all ready for her to tell me that. Because when you read about Ellen White, who so many Catholics have it wrong. They keep telling me, so Mary, I mean, Ellen White is your Mary. I'm like, no, we don't pray to her. If anything, she actually told us, my word, the things I have written, and what she called inspiration, which people question. And of course, people will always question women, right? Especially women who are not rich, who are not skinny, who are not pretty, and who've suffered many miscarriages, and whose husbands have suffered a stroke because they're workaholics and they'll not stay home to take care of the kids. Because how did God give the gospel to a woman who in today's time would be labeled white trash because she had a 3rd grade education? Need I go on? And she was also poor and her health was poor. So all these prosperity gospel preachers have it twisted, you guys. They have it twisted because they don't tell you that when you're a Christian you will suffer. And my God, I have suffered this week. My clothes were stolen. I told God, you know what, maybe you're teaching me to let go. Where the string between, Michael Todd talked about, for many Christians, there's a thread between their heart and their bank account. I asked God to snip it. I was not ready for him to make me lose my life savings on a farming venture with a Christian couple. And no money was recovered because the insurance checks in after there's been a harvest. Oh, and by the way, why was there no harvest? The money was not stolen, you guys. There was a drought. Twice. When they say there's natural disasters and then in insurance they call it acts of God, I was like, I told God, you've taken my life savings for 7 years. You who promised that you would keep the devourer from my money if I tithed and gave offering, and you who promised that if I give to the poor, I've loaned to you. You who, my dad was not in the picture, and I was raised by a single mom, and my grandpa died when I was 17 and I didn't get to say goodbye. You're the one who's taken my life savings. You who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I don't want cattle now. I want 1 hill. Okay, that's a joke I took from my spiritual brother Jackson Saya. Please check him out on Authentic Dialogue or anywhere on YouTube. That's a man who preaches the word of God as it should be preached. Look, I have a halo over my head. And you know it's Sabbath. Sasa, I lost my keys at work yesterday. So remember, Juicy, I lost my clothes. I put them out to air. I was planning to mop the area in case there was any water that dripped. I left to, as a good Christian woman, escort my Ugandan sister to the train station because she asked. I didn't want to go. I really did not. The sun was hot. I had forgotten to pee before I left the house. But I went because I am a nice person. I come back. This place is 20 minutes away. At most, I will miss you. She bought me breakfast because she's a good African woman who was raised right. And I had been hosting her, and we'd been splitting bills, and we'd been going on walks. You get, this is how you should behave when you're hosted, by the way. You split bills with people. Men stop showing up empty-handed to women's houses. Like, shame on you. You're expecting to eat. Secondly, also, let's backtrack. Stop inviting yourselves to our homes. Yeah, you know, I asked you for a pin to your place and then you didn't share it. Babe, you don't pay my rent? Why are you asking to come to my house? Yoruba Demon actually had the nerve to tell me, oh, I don't have to pay for a hotel. What am I going to eat? I was like, excuse me? You allege that you're divorced. You're not jumping out of one marriage into another. I have a man who pays the rent here. I'm not having another man come to my man's house. Like, I mean, even if I were to cheat with him, which I was not doing, why would I do it in the house where my partner, like, why would I be so stupid and have 7 male roommates? And men make concessions for each other. So one of them would have told him, oh, there was another man here and we could hear her at night. Like, because you see, I have hosted 2 guys at my place and they slept on the floor. And why I was not afraid of my ex hearing about this is because he knows about them. And he knows the work I do. He knows that I have co-founded Ubuntu Collective, where I create a safe, when I say I have co-founded with other people, our main mantra is, the word Ubuntu in Zulu is about our being because we are one. I am because you are because I am. So that being, that coexistence, that I cannot exist on my own, that, you know, we are a community, that Africanness, that Nyumba Kumi initiative, that, I don't know what, Ujamaa, whatever, wherever you come from in Africa, if you're a dark black person, that's a thing we teach. But because we are eating up Western culture like the fools we have chosen to be, because we are reading white people books and the DSM, and we are reading our history from the perspective of white eyes, blonde-faced or blonde-haired, white-faced, blue-eyed people who, let me trigger you, look up the phrase motherfucker. Look it up. Find out the history of that word so that you see how nice white people are. Look up, read the book Dead Aid by Dambisa Moyo. Go read it and understand that all the wars that happen in the global majority are funded and fueled and enforced and ensured by the West. When I tell people white supremacy is our enemy, y'all don't listen because you're like, oh my gosh, you black people. But now that there's a genocide in Palestine, people are paying attention. They didn't pay attention when there was slavery because Christianity was used to excuse slavery. Do you know Christianity was used to excuse slavery? So, pardon me, when white preachers preach and I can't listen to their sermons. My fan is struggling. Give me a sec. Pardon me, when white preachers preach and I'm like, hiyo gospel yako siwezi. Because as long as someone is sharing away from my lived experience, I'm not interested. Which is why I don't take life advice from men. Because you know what they tell you? Calm down. You're overthinking this. It's in your mind. It's mindset. And I'm like, bruh. I'm triggered because this week, more than 4 close people have mansplained my ADHD. Someone told me that I have been absent-minded lately after I had lost a bag with things I just collected from them on a tram. Do you know how much shame a person feels when they forget their luggage on a train? And then they have social anxiety. So when they realize that they've lost something, they come home and their feet can't move. They can't leave the room because you feel unsafe outside your room. Do people know that ADHD means you have rejection sensitivity? So anytime someone yells or raises their voice or says anything like, you are bad, you will not tell me what to do, you're not the boss of me, you're not all that, or silent treatment like my colleague is doing, because I have accused him of having my keys which are missing. He's not even responded to defend himself because I think he feels, oh, and what did I do the first time I came to work? I told him about my ADHD. In fact, I told him before, I have ADHD, I suspect I have autism, I will be off sometimes. Like you're talking to me and I'm not listening. Not because I'm rude, because I have popcorn brain. So for anyone who tells us that, calls us any version of the word airhead, stupid, slow, forgetful, scatterbrained, it hurts so deeply. And you know, you do this and then you don't apologize because your ego won't let you. You know who does that? White people. They take away your dignity. Well, all people. When my clothes disappeared, I remember making the comment, must be a white person, because they saw the Mama Africa shuka or leso and lingerie, because all the black women on my chat, when they saw what I'd posted, they were like, who steals underwear? In our culture, you don't steal underwear. I have seen communities where underwear is shared because people are poor. And there's period poverty in Kenya. And then when you're done, you wash and return to the lines where you found it. These are children who do this. In my culture, you don't steal someone's underwear. Now, granted, I know families in Kibra that tell me I have to leave my kids outside so that they watch our clothes so they're not stolen. I'm not saying Africans don't steal. Unfortunately, we also have the reputation of working, and then you're doing a cleaning job at a hotel or a school and you're carrying away toilet paper and hand towels and the rubbish bags and soap and disinfectant. So if the security guy asks to check your bag and you're getting paid 1,000 euros to clean for 5 hours every day, 5 days a week, and sometimes you're done in 3 hours, so you paid 140,000 shillings to be a school janitor with running water, with a trolley that carries your heavy bucket and your mops. Me, I wring by hand because I want to. Because I feel like the water will be squeezed out properly to the consistency I like. Again, because I have OCD and I have ADHD and I like things very specifically. So let's say the security guard catches you and your bag looks like it has an abnormal bulge. Alafu ufutwe kazi juu ya Kleenex. Like, you lose your job because of toilet paper. You lose recommendation because of that. Me, I'm here stressing over keys, which I lost accidentally. If it is me who lost them, if they've not been picked by my colleague who is such a charming person. And you know, I tell people my intuition isn't wrong. It's hardly ever. I can't say I've never been wrong. That's arrogant. But intuition, once you become a mother, do you know there are times I'm seated here, and by the way, I'm coming after the people who are like, lakini hujaza, you've not given birth. Do you know there are times I'm seated here and I'm thinking about my kid, and then they text me. You know there are times I'm seated here thinking about my cousins, and then I reach out to them and they're like, sis, I was having a hard time, how did you know? And I tell them, God talks to me directly. God talks to mothers. And I need to correct something that Christians really need to fix. Christ tells us we are adopted into the family of Christ. There's neither Jew nor Gentile, but we don't want to adopt children. You have to give birth from your body. So what are you telling people who struggle with infertility? What are you telling people who can't afford IVF? What are you telling people who needed abortion as part of healthcare? Oh, by the way, don't even come at me at your mothering babies. Because you don't know what women are going through out here. And Christian women who've spoken to teenagers and convinced them to keep their babies, when those babies were brought to their doorsteps, they refused to take them. And I tell people there's no love, there's no hate like Christian love. Oh, you love someone, you love this unborn child so much, you will defend them. Even when there's no heartbeat, even when it's just a clump of cells, eh? And then this girl will give birth, you're not even in the delivery room with her. You see me, I have clouds. I've been in the delivery room, but I've also been in Marie Stops. If you know, you know. Because I will not judge someone. You want someone to give birth at the age of 10? What is actually going on in your head when you're thinking that? Has her body developed enough to push out a baby? Okay, so let's say she gets a CS scar. If this kid dies, she wakes up every day to that scar when she looks at herself naked in the mirror. How is her life more important than that of this unborn child? When I tell people the world hates women, specifically men hate women, specifically female gatekeepers of patriarchy. I was on the TikTok and I was listening to people speak on certain issues, specifically in Kenya, and about how the Somalis are taking over. And I commented, yeah, they've taken over South Sea and they're taking over Nairobi West. If you go to the CBD right now, the major restaurants where people are taking their coffee and buying their food affordably, more than they go to Java, Somali owned. And we are just there. We are forgetting that our sitting president is a pawn, like the chess pawn in the hands of the West. We are forgetting about the ideas that were dished out in Isili. We are forgetting. We are forgetting. How are we forgetting? Could we please read up on Arab invasion? Or, let's not even go that far in history. Could we please refresh our memories of the women who've come back in coffins from the UAE or Oman or wherever else in the Middle East? So Black Lives Matter, sure, but they matter more when their skin tone is not as dark, eh? By the way, I'm all for free Palestine, and I've been posting and reposting because I don't think genocide is the answer. I've never believed in that. I have questions about sending men to war because we need more women in the world, more dark women. So ladies, let's keep adopting those kids, all those black kids, boys and girls. Yeah, let's keep adopting them because I've realized boys raised by single moms are turning out top notch. They're the ones I want to date. But the rest of y'all need to start. We need to start calling ourselves to meetings. We really do. And especially for people who are white aspiring. Very many men are white aspiring. Look at them on LinkedIn, going crazy about that banker who is being interviewed because he's a billionaire. And I'm like, you're not even asking yourself where he got that money from. You've not even read about Maria Antoinette. Oh, of course we don't read on women history because what will a woman tell me? In Kyogo Tevi. Oh, Moiseke. That's how they say it in Kisi. Kisi is just Kisi. The patriarchy in Kisi. Nini unaniambia, what are you telling me? You're a woman. And I find it so interesting. I started writing that book. I might go back to writing that book because my therapist has me investigating all my core beliefs, especially the ones around men. And I've told her, Ruby, make it make sense. When we look at statistics, let's look at statistics. Numbers don't lie. When women from East, West, Central, North, South, Southern Africa are, and Sub-Saharan, just all of Sub-Sahara, are complaining about men, and it's all ages, by the way, and it's straight women, and it's white women, and it's black women, because there are white women in South Africa. So when women are also complaining in Europe about men, and in America, North America, South America, about men. And then they're also complaining in Russia, they're complaining in, like, in Asia as well. You know how they're complaining in Asia? They're refusing to give birth. It's gotten to a point where even the conservative countries are like, if I talk and if speaking gets me killed, because we're experiencing Asian hate right now, we're experiencing Islamophobia and Islamic racism, we're experiencing anti-blackness, we're being called DEI hires, like we are diversity hires, ethnic minority hires. My God, to think I am this close to getting a master's and I'm working towards getting a PhD, and I am reading books from different cultures, like The Art of War. I'm reading books written by black and brown people. I want you guys to take time to go read Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall. Yes. I want you to take time to read Chimamanda, Why Everyone Should Be a Feminist. If you don't like reading, go listen to the rant. Go listen to her 8-minute video on the Catholic Church and how the church just needs to, when she says the church, of course they mean the Catholic Church, because it was the biggest church in the Dark Ages, and then the Protestant church protested from it. Please read your history. Please read your Christian history. Stop telling me Pastor Alisema. That's nonsense in this day and age. I don't know, this book, The Body Keeps the Score. Your body doesn't forget the stuff you've gone through. That's why after someone has been physically violent with you, you flinch a lot. I startle very easily. Was it because I was beaten a lot as a child? Very likely. At home and by teachers. But also I've been threatened by men a lot. And I have survived sexual assault and non-consensual sex. So I startle easily. And I say this to people, the only people who laugh are men. Must tell you something. Dr. Ramini Davasula has written, she's a clinical psychologist, a professor with over 20 years experience. I'm reading this from the back. Helping people heal from relationships with narcissistic people. You can find her at Dr. Ramani, Ramani. How to identify and heal from narcissistic people. I know we throw around the word narcissism a lot. Let's stop. Because when someone actually encounters a narcissist, then you've sort of watered down the alarm system. Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents is a book I'm reading very slowly. One, because Rosie told me to go slow on the heavy books, and she was right. My therapist had said that to me a year before. Rosie knows me well on a personal level. I listen to Rosie because Rosie knows things. She's younger than me, but she knows things. Gen Zs are the people to listen to these days. And this is especially if your mother used you as a husband and you're a son, and especially if you're a parentified child like me, you know, you're a firstborn. Any firstborn should read this book. Any and every firstborn should also read this book. And anyone raised by a single parent. The other one is John Grisham. Now the mother of them all is this. This was recommended to me by Ebenezer Ike. I hope I pronounced your name right. Eddie is my boy. He's woke and he reads things. And I again have a lot of respect and admiration for people in their 20s. There's something about them that just, they question everything. They question everything. They are calling out the colonizers. They are calling out neocolonialism. And now they've given us, we millennials, the courage to do the same. But it is that fire was ignited by Gen Zs. I don't know the other generation, Gen X, Sijui. But Gen Zs are doing the work in Calcutta. They're doing the work in, what's this country? What's this? The place where students were rioting and they were killed. Why don't I remember? Like, was it India? No. Bangladesh. They're doing the work in Palestine. They're doing the work on LinkedIn. They're doing the work on social media. They're doing the work in the US. We even have white Americans who are Gen Zs speaking up about hashtag Ruto must go on TikTok. And I had to stop working on my thesis to collect data again, because now we have the issue of the presidency in the US, and anything that happens in the US will roll down the hill to the rest of us, because we're the bottom of the barrel, remember, as black women. And so we have to see, like, we need Kamala Harris in there, though. And I know, people are like, yeah, I'd rather Donald Trump. I'm like, you would rather Donald Trump? When I see Donald Trump, I think Nazi, I think rapist, I think man who has no respect for people with handicaps or who are differently abled. I think of someone who is very anti-black and is the king of Islamophobia. Oh, and also he just hates all immigrants. So if you're black and brown and you're pro-Donald Trump, you do need to get checked. But you see, you can't get checked by a psychologist other than a black or brown woke one. Maybe Dr. Raquel Martin, because she deals with black people. Maybe Dr. Ramini, because you've been whitewashed. Like, you actually need a brain transplant if you are pro-Donald Trump. You need to sit down and ask yourself some very key questions. Now, I'm not saying Kamala Harris is any better on some issues. She's messed up, but let's do a comparative analysis here, and that's not the right way to use it. I'm a scientist, I know better. But let's just compare the two issues. Kamala Harris is someone who is qualified for the job, but is being called a DEI hire. People will drag her for everything and anything. You see how the CEO of Google just died at the age of, was it 56 or 59? And all we saw was that. We didn't know that she'd bet her life while pregnant and broke on 2 college kids who she housed in her garage. You guys, please go read. Like, I think we live in an age where we are always scrolling. We don't like to read. When your sponsor sends you money, please use some of it for bundles. When your husband takes you shopping, please leave some in your pocket for bundles. And then when you get the bundles, please stop using them just to entertain yourself and to buy makeup. It's okay to wear makeup. My point is, start fixing yourself from in here. So let me insult you as a health coach, because that's my lane. Whenever people come to me and they tell me they have a skincare routine, and I ask them about their food, hydration, sleep, alcohol intake, supplement intake, sugar intake, fat quality intake, and they can't answer, I'm like, sis, usually it's women. You need to fix the problem from the inside out. Because if your gut is unhealthy, I don't care if you drink ascorbic acid. I don't care if you soak in vitamins. It will burn you, for starters. I don't care if you use tomatoes on your face and cucumbers over your eyes and tea bags to hide your sleeping. Because you are just plucking the leaves. The root of the problem is in your gut. Once you heal your gut, we can talk. But if you're unwilling, imagine I will not help you. Like Jesus, the way I have left men to Jesus, I am telling anyone who does not want to just learn and do better when they know better, behold, unto you your house is left desolate. Please Google that as well. It's in the Bible. Yeah. Let's read to educate ourselves. As Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but we can free our minds. Because God gives us choice. Choose you this day whom you will serve. But you don't even know who you're serving. You're fast asleep. Like the 5 virgins. And then, oh gosh, Jesus has returned. Where is the oil? My SDA is showing. I'm very angry. I need to go take a second bath because it's a hot day and the sun is not letting up, but I'm not complaining. I love the heat. I'm looking forward to being in Malindi in a few weeks, months. In fact, I'm telling myself weeks so that they feel like they're few. For now, stay woke, stay awake. Be happy and healthy. I stole that from Dr. Mike because he's so yummy. And also, yeah, just do this. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Make kindness your ikigai. It's another book you should read. Make kindness the reason why you wake up every day. Not money, not school fees. Just try it for a month and then write in the comment section what you think. Especially if you identify as religious, Christian or Muslim. If Christianity, if Christianity is not transforming you by the renewing of your mind, because your mind is always focused on garbage, then just stop being Christian. Just leave. Go home and just stop going to church. Stop returning tithe because acha tu ikae. We don't need the money. We need Christians who are kind to people who are in the LGBTQIA plus community. I have to say that slowly because my tongue keeps tripping over that. We also need to be kind to Muslims. Stop it. Jesus is not like that. Shut your mouth. Listen for a change. We need to be kind. If we're not kind, you know what we risk doing? It's the white man who brought us Christianity. We wind up becoming the oppressor. Think on that. Because when you're oppressed, hurting people hurt people. You wind up hurting other people the same way you are hurt. Look at the people you're attracting. How similar are they to the parents that you hate? In fact, let me trigger you further. How similar are you to the parent that you can't stand, to the sibling you can't stand, to the colleague you can't stand? Could it be that unconsciously you've met your match and you're competing or you're fighting for survival, and because you've not read any books or paid for therapy, or you use your romantic partner as a therapist, trauma dumping, a cheni yo tabia, your friends are not your therapists? Check yourself. On this holy Sabbath day, check yourself, please. Because the unchecked life is not one worth living. I know I read that somewhere. Maybe Criminal Minds, but it's not my quote. I'm not this wise. I'm wise because I surround myself with wise people. And we are all growing on the shoulders of great people before us and the great people after us, like Gen Zs. Know better, do better. Have a great weekend. Mwah.